And welcome everyone to the series on the five elements and insight. Very happy to be sharing these teachings with you this week, and would love to have you either share with a friend now or later, or in your heart, what you've noticed about practicing with fluidity, water, water element, motion in the last 24 hours. And as we're getting started, the invitation is to tune in again to your body. Perhaps taking a couple of longer, slower breaths. Noticing the weight of your body on the cushion or chair. Feeling a sense of being grounded. And then allowing the breathing to be natural. And feeling into moisture on the skin, perhaps in your mouth, in your breath, moisture or dryness. And inviting the mind, the heart, to bring awareness of this moment to the forefront. Feeling into a sense of warmth or cool. Heat in the body, maybe coolness of the air on your skin, maybe warmth of the sun or coolness of a cloudy day. Just checking in. And in general, feeling into the change, the shift, the flowing nature of all of these sensations. Attuning more closely, perhaps, to the motion, movement of the breath, if that's your anchor, or the overall flow of sensation coming and going throughout the whole body. Inviting the heart to rest, the mind to settle in this embodied moment. Tuning in also to any resonance of warmth or coolness in the mind and heart. Noticing without judgment any agitation, meeting that with the warmth of kindness and compassion. Allowing mental activity to cool, to calm, as you allow awareness to move inward and downward, settling into the body, feeling into the warmth and vitality of this body. One breath at a time. We'll mostly practice in silence for a while. From time to time, reconnecting with the felt sensations of aliveness. the warmness or the cool, the weight or lightness, fluidity or stillness. In the last remaining moments of this formal meditation together, the invitation is to open up the aperture of awareness, allowing all of present moment experience to be included within it, just moving through. And as we bring this meditation to a close, considering for yourself any moments of goodness, connection, presence, or peace in this meditation. And letting them nourish your heart and practice. And then turning your attention and intentions outwards towards all of the others your life touches, directly and indirectly. Cultivating the wish that they may benefit, that the benefits of our practice here together ripple out to all of the lives we touch and all of the lives they touch outwards and outwards. May all beings be safe, happy, peaceful, and free. And may our practice here together be a cause and condition for greater love, liberation, and peace in the world. Thank you for your practice. So today we are picking up on the third in a 5-part series on practicing with the elements in support of insight. The 5 elements, those are earth, water, fire, air, and space. And today we are on fire. So, and continue this exploration, both in terms of contemplation, that's intentional consideration of these qualities of experience, and how the Buddha framed them, talked about them in the ancient teachings, and direct experience of the quality of fire element, which I'll talk about in a moment, in our own practice. And then I'll drop in a little bit about some of the inspirations that he offered, both for fire and for fire going out. So that's where we're going. And first, to say the direct experience of fire element. It's very simple. Sensations of warmth or cool, or even hot or cold. And the function, whether it's in our core of our bodies or the earth's molten core, or in a campfire, is to heat. Simple, right? So noticing shifting and changing sensations, like we went over in the meditation, of hot or cold, warmth or cool, can be one more set of embodied experiences that can highlight the sense of anicca and constancy, change. And it can be interesting to notice other conditions, including external humidity or dryness, or our internal emotional and mental perceptions and filters, impact even something as basic as how we perceive heat or cool. I was just camping on a retreat, and it was really interesting to notice that over the course of the week, my tolerance for cool, because there were some quite cold nights we were at altitude, went up. And that what would have felt uncomfortably cool here in Santa Cruz felt just fine there. And the perception of heat also shifted over the course of the retreat. And in part, that's true because not just of acclimatization in our bodies, but how our minds relate. So if one is agitated, for example, much more likely to feel warmer, perhaps even more bothered. There's that term, of course, hot and bothered, right? This is dukkha. However, if one is very calm, can be likely to feel cooler, even in the exact same external temperature. Equanimity, not agitated either way. There's a kind of an internal coolness that's more of a mental quality that allows for shifts and changes without getting caught up, bothered, or overly attached. In terms of contemplation, the ancient teachings have a number of similes and idioms about fire, both in terms of helpful qualities and unhelpful qualities. There are far too many to unpack in a short little talk like this, but I'll just touch on a few of the more important ones in the sense of the tradition. So many of the Buddha's similes and metaphors associate fire with unhelpful qualities. The Buddha likened holding resentment towards others like picking up a hot coal and holding on to it, hoping that they will get burned. It doesn't work, does it? Also, in his famous fire sermon, the Buddha said, all is burning, all is burning. And in that, he was referring to all of our senses burning with greed or lust, hatred, and delusion. As I mentioned Monday, This picks up on the Buddha was a brilliant reframer and repurposer of the cultural soup within which he lived in ancient India. And the Upanishads, which emerged before the Buddha's time and continued to be spoken, recorded, perhaps during his time, we're not sure because all of this was ancient and quite oral history. But in the Upanishads, natural elements like fire were considered qualities or potentialities imbued with life. So, especially, for example, when fire was provoked, agitated, it ignited. And these same exact words for anger that were used in the Upanishads were used in the Buddha's teachings. And they didn't just talk about the physical igniting, they spoke to the emotional resonances, emotional processes. Today, we use similar expressions, burning with rage. Right? A mature practitioner, an awakened person, they are released from this kind of burning by a cooling, an inner cooling of disenchantment with being drawn into the stories, the miasma of reactivity based on greed, hatred, and delusion, based on senses and ideas. The ideas that come from what comes through our senses. The Buddha taught that letting go of clinging also releases the fires of greed or hatred or delusion. And I personally think it's fascinating that the word for clinging and the word for fuel for a fire are the same ancient word, upadana. Upadana. So, what that means, letting go, and check it out for yourself, letting go of some obsessive want or grudge releases, dissolves reactivity. And when someone completely frees their mind, the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion are released, blown out, nibbanad or nirvanad. There was an allusion to this in the poem that I read at the end of the first talk in this series, and I'll just read the very end of it. This is from Patachara, and it's based on the Therigatha, the awakening songs of the first women who practiced with the Buddha. I let my mind go, and it flowed downhill with the water toward my little hut. I went inside, sat on the bed, and lowered the wick of the lamp. All by itself, the flame went out. So, fire released, or as Thanissaro Bhikkhu calls it, fire unbound, is one of the most important similes for fully waking up, for not burning with reactivity. And at times, the Buddha's teachings, he used similes to help communicate helpful qualities too, similes about fire that communicated helpful qualities. In fact, the ancient tradition likens the eye, remember we're back in the Bronze Age here, the eye to a fire stick. And there's actually kind of a detailed anatomy that isn't that far off if you think of what they had available to them about how fire in the eye are linked to sight, to vision, to light, to clarity. And this gets picked up on in the later traditions because fires, after all, they don't just emit heat, they also radiate light. So this is my fanciful riff on fire element combined with water element. that heat plus water brings steam, capacity, and power. Light plus water can bring the beauty of shimmering waves or the breathtaking moment of a rainbow. On a metaphorical, emotional level, we can connect with the warmth of care, the heat of determination. And the Buddha advised his son, Rahula, to make his meditation like fire. Anything bad or disgusting thrown into fire is simply used as fuel, burned up. He said, if you make your meditation like fire, agreeable and disagreeable things will not invade the mind and remain. For me, this teaching demonstrates that even the most unwanted experiences can be fuel for awakening, and that one kind of fire, meditative fire, can contain the damage of the other, of reactivity, kind of like a controlled burn. So, to recap, practicing with meditating on the sensations of hot and cold, heat and warmth, and our relationship to those sensations can help open us up to the perception of anicca and constancy, and how our minds and hearts can shift our relationship to experience, including our relationship to reactivity and to inconstancy itself. Noticing any clinging for or against coming through our senses is a first step towards shifting from burning reactivity to coolness and eventually to freedom. So, thank you for your kind attention, and your assignment, should you choose to accept it over the next 24 hours, is to notice heat and coolness in your own direct experience and how you're relating to it based on your own state in that moment. And for extra credit, notice moments of clinging and reactivity and moments where the clarity of light awareness emerges. Thank you so much for your attention. Look forward to being back with you tomorrow.